I love it. I love
Hey,
it. I love it.
hey, but speaking of, we just talked about draft, draft position where teams get their picks and things of that nature. Just yesterday, I don't know if you caught it, they had the draft lottery. The draft lottery was yesterday and this June with the number one pick. You know who's getting the number one pick, Coach T. Fletch?
Washington Wizards.
Washington Wizards. Washington Wizards. And it was so funny. Did you see the young man AJ Dybantsa's reaction
I didn't.
or lack thereof? So his reaction was straight face, no smile, no nothing when they said that the Wizards got the number one pick. And it's a whole lot of ways you could take this because you're the one who kind of educated me on his background playing prep high school ball out there in Utah. He goes to BYU for a season. So all directions and signs was pointed towards Utah, and it seems to me, and I don't know anything. It seems to me, based on that knowledge, that the young man wanted to kind of stay there and play for the Utah Jazz. However, the Utah Jazz did get the second pick, so that is very, very interesting. And we can kind of just talk about those because now I'm starting to think, is there going to be a swap? Is going to be a trade? I think personally, and I'll answer early, I think we're going to see an interesting draft in terms of who gets drafted where. And I think there's going to be some trades in the draft. And I think it's going to be current player moving with the draft. You know what I'm saying? I think we're going to see a lot of different things going on.
I could because they want AJ to stay in Utah so bad. He's played there ever since he was a teenager. I could definitely see them trading up just to get it. Now, the flip side, and this is where the savagery comes from. I can see AJ getting drafted, not going to the draft, and be like, I'm going back to Utah. Because whatever y'all gonna pay me in my rookie NBA contract, BYU is gonna match it.
But I don't
BYU
know.
was
Can't do that though, right? He has to.
I don't listen. I'm gonna be honest with you. With the way that a lot of these players in the NBA are going back to college, I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised. You send me some clips where I was like, wait a minute, my man got drafted, played in the NBA, and now he's going back to college. Like I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah, I mean, you
So
got guys that's
yeah,
petitioning. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, who knows the rules anymore?
it's wild. So in that case, I can see AJ being like, I didn't get drafted to the team I wanted to. Kind of like when the Manning brothers were coming out. The Manning brothers are coming out, and their dad was like, "Yo, if you draft him to Cleveland, we won't show up. We won't show up." And they made sure that he got the younger Manning, Eli, got to the Giants, right? And the same thing with the older brother. I can't think of his name
Eli,
right now. Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning.
Peyton Manning. I
Peyton
mean, yeah,
Manning. Yeah, Peyton Manning was supposed to get drafted to the Chargers. They was like, nah, we not going there, fam. And it didn't happen. So I could totally see Utah pulling some strings behind the scene and possibly even making, a lot of phone calls and backdoor channeling and, trading to get that number one pick or, making some things happen that, only CEOs and bosses and owners know about behind the scenes. But there's no way they're trying to let AJ out of Utah. I've said it plenty of times on this show. And right now, it looks like with Utah having a number two pick, they're in a good position to be able to trade that pick and give up, possibly future draft picks. Because if you're Washington, why wouldn't you want to get the number? This is a great draft. Why wouldn't you want to get the number two pick? There's nothing wrong with getting the number two pick. You miss out on AJ, and that's okay because we're going to get a future first round pick, or maybe even possible because Utah wants him that bad. Maybe even possible future multiple first round picks. So I think this draft is going to be a really good draft because there's so much talent in this draft. Being able to trade and have two picks, maybe in the top 10, top five, it's not a bad option.
yeah, no doubt. AJ's camp has to consider, first of all, if I'm watching Wizards, I'm super excited. First of all, you got the number one pick. got a chance to draft AJ, you really have to look at it like this. Just imagine if healthy, a healthy Trey Young, a healthy Anthony Davis, and you add
Whoa, what you just
AJ,
say? A healthy who?
Anthony Davis.
When that happened?
I'm just saying, what if? If you have that that's a team that can make that's a playoff team. You got a guy that probably will win Rookie of the Year. Trey Young, we know the body of work he's done in his time in the league. And then Anthony Davis, obviously it's a big question mark, like you said, but even if you can get AD to play, 60 to 65 games and he can play in the playoffs, that's a good roster. And I'm not even mentioning supporting cast. Like, that's not, that's a nice landing because you always want to go in the league and have a chance from the start. And with that team, you'll have a chance. Now, in Utah, they got a lot of young talent out there in Utah. And, Utah's, become his home. And I know that's where your home is where your heart is, and I understand it. But Washington Wizards, I like what they have going and what they did with their trades and was able to get, Trey Young there. And like I said, it's not a bad spot. Like you gotta be open. And one thing I always say to young guys, be thankful, be grateful having an opportunity to play in the best basketball league in the world. And, the mentality has to be wherever I go, I'm going to be great. I've seen really good players, get traded and I've seen how they reacted and they embraced it, and then it turns out to be really well. You know what I'm saying? Like we've seen Shea Gilgeous-Alexander get traded after his rookie year. He thought he would be in a Clipper uniform for a very long time. He got traded for a bunch of picks. Now look at him; he's MVP of the league. He's on the defending NBA championship team. So I think he looked at it like, okay, this is my new situation, and I'm going to go there and I'm going to be great.
The roster, you're right. It does look pretty legit, especially with them being able to have a top pick, possibly, the number 2 pick, if, Utah Jazz make a deal, which I think they will. Um, I love the fact that you brought up Trey Young, though, because Trey Young, we talked about this when the Warriors had to play in the playing game. The first game, I don't remember who they played against. I know the second game they played against the Clippers, but the first game, I don't remember who they played against. But she was like, "Yo, he's a lethal weapon. Like he's a problem. So anytime he's on the court, they always have a chance to win. If you've seen Trey Young play in the playoffs, it's a different type of game. Like Jimmy Butler in quarantine, right? It's a different level. It's kind of how Anthony Edwards played last night. Um, Trey Young in the playoffs is one of those players you don't want to guard. And to show how old school we are, it's kind of like Tim Hardaway. Tim Hardaway during the regular season to be wolfing, playing decent defense. All of a sudden in the playoffs, nobody wanted to guard Tim Hardaway. He was that guy. That's Trey Young. Trey Young with the Atlanta Hawks put up numbers, especially in the playoffs. I mean, Washington Wizards in a beautiful spot.
Just real quick, I hit the rest of the draft order. Utah, you talked about that. We'll have the second pick, and Memphis Grizzlies with the third pick. Fourth pick will be the Chicago Bulls. Fifth pick, we talked about that. Clippers. Sixth pick, Brooklyn Nets. Seventh pick will be the Sacramento Kings. The eighth pick will be the Atlanta Hawks, which they got their pick from New Orleans. The ninth pick will be the Dallas Mavericks. The 10th pick will be the Milwaukee Bucks. 11th, Golden State Warriors. 12th, Oklahoma City via the Clippers with that SGA trade. And the 13th pick will be the Miami Heat. So it's going to be an interesting draft. This draft, as you spoke about, has a lot of talent in it. And I'm interested to see which way teams are going to go. And we're going to move on from it. I don't want to spend too much time on it. Memphis has to decide what they're going to do. Are they going to draft a guy like Boozer or go after Caleb Williams or look at a guy like, and this is me, I would be really, really intrigued about Darius Acuff Jr. Going to the Grizzlies, especially if it seems as if that the Grizzlies are going to be moving on from The John Morant era. So that would be a perfect kind of pivot. You know what I mean? So it's just going to be interesting. I think Wilson. I think in terms of upside and star quality and star ability, I like him more than anybody. And that's a guy that you got to look at. Like everybody talks about AJ. Well, I think that Caleb is just as good, and if I may say it, in a lot of ways, better. So maybe that's a situation that Washington will want to look at, or Utah might want to look at doing that, and they swap or whatever the case may be. But nevertheless, it's going to be an interesting draft. Expect some swaps, expect some trades. So we're going to see a lot of different type of movement in the NBA during the draft in June.
It says a lot about what can happen in the draft if you don't move with caution. And nothing's guaranteed in the draft. Like it's really tough to be able to evaluate potential, at this level. And so one thing that I know that you talk about is drafts or an all-star player. Would you rather have an all-star player? Would you rather take potential in the draft? It's almost like being a college football coach. Do you want to really gamble on one of the top prospects coming out of high school, or am I just going to take a transfer? I just take a D1 transfer, somebody who's already proven themselves, right? And that's what you see right now. That seems to be the way that the college atmosphere is happening. A lot of football and basketball coaches would rather take that D1 transfer rather than roll with the young talent. So I think this is going to be an exciting draft. I think this draft is going to be one of the drafts we talk about, 5, 7 years from now about, oh yeah, they were also in the same draft class. Draymond Green and Austin Rivers were in the same draft class, right? Like so, this is one of those drafts we'll be talking about in the future. I really believe that. And I like Caleb Williams. I think I'm sorry, Wilson. I think he could be one of the better players in the draft. But like you said, I also love Darius Acuff. I don't know what Memphis is doing with John Morant. I'll be exciting to see, how that plays out. And another person that people talk about is Darren Peterson, who I'm not really high on Darren Peterson like that. I don't know why it is. It's just something about the kid. He hasn't passed my eye test yet. I'm just hoping that I'm wrong about it.
Well, I think one of the things that's going to tell a lot for the GMs and the presidents and all the coaches out there is the draft workouts. Draft workouts are started. These guys start flying around doing workouts with the team. And during my time in the NBA, it always helped me to spend some time with the draft prospect, to be on the floor with them. Kind of seeing their game up close and being able to evaluate in person versus watching on TV, then you can also have those conversations. And when you have a conversation as a hooper, you get to see their mentality, you get to see their approach, you get to see them when they walk into your building, how they greet people, do they speak, do they look people in the eye, how they react to people, how do they come into the gym and get prepared, do they go in there and do they have a routine, or are they just kind of all over the place? So it gives you an opportunity just to see and then kind of see. I always say like going doing the draft workouts is like going on a blind date. You go on a blind date, you kind of see, what kind of woman this is. Is she just trying to hit you for your pockets? Is she just trying to get a free meal? Like, what are we doing here? So it's gonna be a lot. It's a lot going on in the next, 3 to 5, weeks or whatever the case may be, 4 to 6 weeks, whatever the case may be, and we kind of see where guys kind of end up and land at. Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
glad you brought up the analogy. This is the last question I ask you on this topic because I know we got to move on. Would you rather have that high draft pick, or would you rather roll with the proven all star?
Now, if I have a team that already has a real good supporting cast already, and that's what we're missing, I'd rather get the all star. But if I got a bunch of like guys that are like, maybe like young, and I know that if I bring that all star, it's still gonna take us a couple years. I'd rather just bring in another young player and they grow like that. You understand what I'm saying?
Like a Portland Trailblazers. You'd rather just keep it young.
Yeah, just keep it young
Okay.
and grow from there. Whereas, like I see what Houston did, they brought in Kevin Durant with their guys, even though they're still kind of young, but they still got some veteran pieces in place, and they just happened to get unlucky when the point guard went down, and that kind of hurt them.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, Houston probably would still be playing right now. you know.
And Steven Adams. Don't forget about Steven
Yeah,
Adams,
and
man.
Steven Adams, yeah, he was hurt.
Yeah,
So they just got had unfortunate circumstances there. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
yeah,
I love it. I love it. I agree 100%. The last little tidbit I'll add in is like one of the reasons why the New England Patriots was great so long because Tom Brady took less money. That's the highest paid position. In football, if you draft a rookie quarterback, you can build around him until he has to get that big contract. So I love the fact that you can do that in football and it work out. Basketball is a whole different animal. It really, like Coach Tad Bell said, it really depends on circumstance. Where are you at specifically with your team, with that franchise?